All right, welcome in. It is a brand new edition, a live edition of the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast on the Believe Network. South Carolina game has wrapped. It was a tale of two halves. We're going to get into it right here. Hello, hello, hello. It's a Tuesday night live edition of the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast on the Believe Network. Joining me from South Georgia, it's our very own offensive coordinator, Israel Troop. What's up, man?
Man, I always forget how badass our intro sounds.
Oh, yeah.
I always forget. I was like, man, we're over here jamming. I like this here. Like,
you're like,
it sounds like
you're like, this is how we get this thing rolling. Okay, that's right. You get a little.
I completely forgot. I was like, dang, I forgot all about this.
Yeah, that was student made. I had a senior make that last year, right before he graduated.
Absolutely.
I said, "Hey, man, can I use your beat?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure."
Absolutely, man. You know, I got the Instagram filter going on here. Shout out to Apple for the upgrade. I don't really know what's going on here, but I promise you, this is not what my face looks like all the time. You know.
Well, the beard's coming in nice.
Dude, like I told you earlier, man, it's the first time my beard has looked this good since my 34 years of life. My beard has never looked this good, so I'm trying to see how long I can keep it going.
It's you've been hanging out with me too long. I've passed my beardliness on to you. It's probably what it is.
I just appreciate all the wisdom because I need it. Looking out here, looking like Patrick Adams out here.
Patrick Adams. Well, speaking of things that will make your beard turn gray. We were presented by betonline.ag, your number one source for all your sports betting needs, whether you're playing parlays, live odds, futures. Like if you want to put a few bucks down on Shedeur Sanders to win the win to Heisman, you can certainly do that at betonline.ag. They also have live casino games, man. How'd your parlay turn out this week?
My parlays haven't been hitting at all. See, I've been getting greedy. All right, so I hit my first one, my first two. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to add some more teams. That was a terrible idea. Terrible idea. I just go on like this 9-game parlay, and I'm like, I'm going to win something one day. And then like the first one, like somebody lost by like 2 points, I think it was. Or like, I missed the spread or something by like 2 points, something like that. I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah, that's a tough beat. And like if you would have put Georgia Tech in your parlay last week, if you were to take them in the points, like right before the game ended, you thought you had it and you didn't. I would have put money on Ole Miss. That's what I picked on SEC After Dark. I picked Ole Miss minus 20.
I took Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Sad day, man. Sad day.
Yeah. I mean, that game played out exactly like I thought it would. It was going to be I set my score prediction was 45-24. That was my score prediction.
Close to that too. What was the final score? I just know I lost.
It's like 48-21 or something like that. 48-23.
They were holding their own for a little bit, and then Jackson Dart was like, all right, I'm tired of playing with y'all. And then just kind of took over the game.
Yep. And then the backups put a cosmetic one up there on the board. But yeah. Well, speaking of that, if you want to go to betonline.ag, make sure you put in that promo code BELIEVE. That's get your head ready. BLEAV. Yeah, that's BLEAV for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. So betonline.ag is where the game starts. Well, it was an interesting week of college football. That's for sure. I thought it was going to be a weak schedule, but it wasn't. These games actually ended up turning out really, really good. I watched most of the Georgia Tech Ole Miss game. Watched a little bit of the Tennessee Florida game, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But the Georgia game, man, I did a YouTube short on Sunday morning. Tale of Two Halves was the title of that, and boy, was this game ever a tale of two halves. So like there's some burning questions that we probably have, and one of them is Carson Beck and Mike Bobo obviously getting a lot of heat for their lack of offensive production in the first half, slow starts, things like that. I can hear you rolling your eyes.
Oh, yeah.
I don't understand the heat that they got, but Israel, we do still have to answer the question, if we can, why the slow starts? What is like, and you've played for Mike Bobo. So you kind of understand how he sets up his games. Is that by design sometimes, or is it just the execution? We come out lackadaisical. Like what's causing these? This is the third straight slow start. What is causing these slow starts?
Each game, we always go with the opening script. One thing about Coach Bobo, and I think Coach Munkin had the same, philosophy was let's establish a run at the beginning. So whoever gets upset, we're going to establish a run. Well, what goes along with that is the fact that we're just not executing up front. We call a zone player or anything like that. One block can completely mess the whole thing up. One thing that worked for us was gap scheme. So we took zone away and started running gap scheme, and it was a beautiful thing to watch. So for me, and you go back even when I played and before that, it's just execution. You know what I mean? And people get mad at Coach Bobo for, slow starts in the first half. Well, you got mad at him for slow starts in the second half. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
which word are you going to actually be mad at? But, we're both coordinators here. And the best part of this podcast is the fact that we're both coaches. So, you can call the best play in the world. You can have, the great ideas, and you can have, them schemed up and ready to go. But at the end of the day, it's execution. I was on the way back. I'm from Alabama, and I'm listening to the game and somewhat watching the game too. And I'm like, this is just an execution deal. You know what I mean? And you can tell it. This is how you can tell it. This is how you know if people know football or not. It's an execution deal because you take everything from the first half and then look at the second half. And then you can see we come out and we execute. One thing I do, like what Bobo did, was he took the training wheels off of Carson Beck and let him throw the rock. And he showed that he can toss that thing around. You know what I mean? Receivers were catching the ball. I mean, it was rainy day, kind of gloomy, especially when we were losing. It was really gloomy at halftime. You know what I mean? That first drive after halftime, we just took the air out of South Carolina. We get a 3 and out, go right back down and score again, and the game was pretty much in our hands after that. You know what I mean? So you can be mad, happy, sad, glad at Coach Bobo, but we almost had 400 yards total offense. And we won.
Yeah, we won. We were down 14-3, and most teams fold up tent there because South Carolina had a ton of momentum. We were having a hard time stopping Spencer Rattler. We couldn't guard Leggett. There was a lot of things that was happening. We couldn't block their defensive line. Their defensive line played extremely well in the first half.
Especially tackles. The tackles absolutely eating us up in the middle.
Exactly.
And they were getting free. Like linebackers were making plays like the tackles were getting off blocks and making play in the backfield.
Yeah, we had no answers in the first half, and we absorbed a lot of punches. And then that halftime speech must have been something because we came out a whole different ball club and just completely shut them down. Second half, ripped that momentum right back from them, and never gave it back. And Spencer Rattler turned into Spencer Rattler. So one of the reasons why I didn't panic. Now, usually old me would have been like, oh, great, for this one, here we go. Because I've seen this, I've seen this happen before with this team. Like a team jumps on us and we just never really recover. Like I've seen a lot of games like that where a team jumps on you early, jumps on you often, and then just keeps going and you just can't ever get up, right? And that's what we did to teams. That's what we've done to teams the last 2 years. We jump on them early, we jump on them often, and we don't let them up off the mat. And South Carolina made the mistake of letting us up off the mat, and we took care of business. So for an execution standpoint thing, like we've done it so well the last 2 years that I really wasn't all that worried. But like anytime you get a new quarterback in there, anytime you have some new pieces around you, and one of your biggest leaders has been out since middle of training camp, Lad McConkey. Like those things matter.
Every
people
time.
don't realize that. Like
Every time.
people are like, oh, it's just Lad McConkey. We still have Powers. We welcome back Dejon Edwards. But Lad McConkey's a very important piece. We're finding out in the pass game. But like when you have those new pieces, I mean, to me, that also contributes to it, right? Because you may call the perfect play and it may be there. And that certainly was the case a lot of the times yet on Saturday where things were there, but like we weren't just quite right spacing wise, or we didn't quite make this block on their defensive tackle, or we didn't quite read the linebacker right, or something small happened that disrupted things. And that's just because there's a lot of new pieces, a lot of new communication things. Like just because you have a veteran offensive line doesn't mean they're going to be spot on communicating with each other, because it's the same, but it's different.
Yes.
And people don't understand that.
Absolutely. I mean, those guys still have to gel, Mims goes out, with an injury. So, I mean, there's going to be a whole new offensive line this week. You know what I mean? So it's one of those deals where every time you get a new quarterback, all right, that's where it starts. You get a new quarterback and it takes a little minute. You're going to have a slow start here and there. The execution is going to be a little bit off, but we've gotten spoiled. I say we as a fan base, have gotten spoiled the last 2 years. You know what I mean? So anytime anything bad happens, the first thing they want to do is, we brought Coach Bobo back, blah, 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 blah. All right. Well, we're not going to talk about the fact that South Carolina took Ohio State's game plan and ran against us. I don't think y'all
realize that. A lot of people are going to do that. A lot of people are going to do that. Yeah.
They took what was wide open, crossing that. Everything. You know what I mean? Who did that? Ohio State. You know what I mean? So Bullard's out. So, that they took advantage of us. You know what I mean? That first half was just execution. I mean, we're playing zone and we're just leaving, windows in the middle of the field wide open. I mean, we got people 20 yards. You know what I mean? And number 4, I think it's number 14. If I'm not mistaken, bless his heart, he was playing safety. And I mean, he got all turned backwards. I mean, there's a guy running free. You know what I mean? So there was just a lot of stuff that happened. First SEC game in South Carolina. And if Georgia football over the last couple of years, South Carolina, whether it's over there or it's in Sanford Stadium, nothing goes either team's way. Last year was great. You know what I mean? But they kept saying it, not Vern, but what are the CBS guys? Anyways,
Gary and Todd Blackledge.
That's it. Gary and Todd kept saying it. Last team to beat us was who? South Carolina. Who was at that game? Me. I watched in all this disgust watching that football game. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those deals to where, all right, we had a bad first half, but you can see how good a team we are. They didn't panic, and Kirby was scarily calm during his press conference, at halftime. And he was like, we're finna go in here and fix it. And they did. They went in there and they fixed it.
They obviously did.
Possessions in the second half, and I think they scored on 5 of them for sure. Would have scored on the 6th one, but got a holding penalty, I think, and it kind of screwed that deal up. But special teams, we got a new freshman kicker in. He missed two field goals. One where he looked like the Ohio State kicker, wide left. You know what I mean? So it's just a bunch. It was just an accumulation of just not executing. That's all it was. But like I said, people have gotten spoiled, and they're just used to, all right, here we go. We're going to go out here and just beat the hell out of these people. Absolutely not. This is a whole new team, offensively anyways. You know what I mean? And, it took one. You got to get hit in the face a little bit, and you're going to decide if you're going to get up or you're just going to keep getting hit on. And we decided to get up, and we brought the beating back to them. Yeah,
we decided, hey, we're going to hit on you. So when you see a quarterback struggling, as a coordinator, what do you do to kind of get him out of that? Like play calling wise, do you just keep your foot on the gas and just let him power through it? Do you just kind of get his nerves calmed down and then be aggressive? Like we saw Bobo just kind of go into somewhat of a conservative mode there right before half, and then like probably at halftime they said, okay, listen here, you got to get your head out of your what, and so we can turn this thing up. And I think he finally realized, hey, I think Carson's got it because Carson rarely do you see him rattle, but I do think he was rattled a little bit, and so I think when he finally got his nerve, that's when you saw him light up. That's when you saw this Georgia offense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's when you saw them take flight. And so, what are things that you do in those situations, like as a coordinator?
Well, you try to get him comfortable. But the part of that is that he's got to make that throw. You see us try to throw a quick game. I mean, it's either he's throwing it in the dirt. There was one ball that said that the defensive lineman tipped. He didn't tip that dang ball. He just threw it over there to the sideline. I mean, it's just one of those to where I think he was a little bit amped up, that first half. And, as a coordinator, for me, I ain't scared of nothing. We finna sleep this rock, if I want you to. You know what I mean? But, Coach Bobo, he was like, all right, he's a little bit off. Let's try to get the run going, which we did. Dejan with his one leg. Kendall Milton's out there. I mean, they did a phenomenal job that first half of, at least flipping the field, for when we play. You know what I mean? That's kind of what you want. If you're struggling on offense, at least get enough first downs where you can flip the field, and make them drop the whole, 80 yards or whatever it is. So just one of those deals to where you don't panic, which we didn't, which is I thought that's what was happening, was going to panic. But we didn't. And it's one of those situations, coordinator guys, all right, let's just get to halftime. And all right, big dog, you good? And obviously he was. I mean, we come out, first play of the game, we throw a dig route. First play at the halftime, boom. We hit a dig route. We come back, hit another one, boom. Get the ball to Bowers, boom. You know what I mean? So it was just a point of, all right, let's just settle down here. I know it's first SEC game, crowds here. Mom and grandma and them probably came to the game. So happy to see you. Hey, now it's time to go play football. And that's what we did in the second half. And the one thing I do like is that the fact that Bo was not scared in that second half to take training wheels off. Because, most coordinators would, get rattled and it was like, oh, we can't do that. We got to take it out. Bobo said, no, dog, we finna go out here and sling this rock. You know what I mean? And we finna grow a pair and we finna go ahead and win this football game. And that's exactly what happened.
And if you can't grow a pair, we'll put Brock in and see if he can grow one. So and
400, almost 400 yards of offense, guys. Let's think about that. The first half is we maybe had 100 yards of offense. That second half, I mean, we lit it up, and then you just watch it. Execution, we're ripping off big runs. You know what I mean? We get down there and I forget, I think it's number 32. I forget his name, but he goes down, he scores a touchdown.
Cash Money, that's what his name is.
Cash, I knew something.
Cash Jones is his real name.
He scores a touchdown. We tempo him, boom, he scores. You know what I mean? And the excitement of that group, love it having a good game. Rara Thomas comes in, Rosie Jack Saint, Arian Smith, those guys doing a great job catching the ball on the perimeter. You know what I mean? It was a group effort in that second half, and we saw how good Georgia can be.
Mm-hmm. Are chipping in?
Are most games going to start like that? Probably not. You know what I mean? But to see the resiliency in that group, I mean, it just shows you how good a football team we're about to be.
Yeah. And my biggest observation was, like, in the first half, I'm like, we're running the ball too damn well for us to be down 14-3.
Yes.
I'm like, we're about to blow this thing open because, like, they can't stop the run. Yeah. Milton and Edwards were feasting. I know I was texting with you. I was like, I don't know how the hell we're losing right now, but those guys are running, dude.
Yes. And if you can imagine if both of those guys were, like, truly healthy, some of those, like, 15-yarders could easily go to the house.
Oh, easily, yeah.
And I think that's what we're missing, that breakaway guy that could just take it to the crib. But we do have them. They're just injured.
Mm-hmm. We have a lot of them. So we're so beat up right now.
Yeah. I think I read that we had 13 players that didn't play.
Yeah.
That were either out, Bullard was probable, but, he started running stuff and couldn't go. I think it was like 13, and I think of those 13, 5 or 6 were starters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Big time starters. Like Lad McConkey.
Guys, y'all just don't understand, like, as a coaching staff, to come out of that, one, survive the first half, because it could have been way worse than what it was. Survive that first half and then come out in the second half and do what you did. I mean, if you can't respect that and you can't understand what actually goes on into doing this when things like that, when bad things like that happen, I mean, it's the reason why you do what you do and we do what we do.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Nail meets head. So tale of two halves. Glad that the Dr. Jekyll half was the second half, and the Mr. Hyde half was the first half. Glad it was ugly first and pretty in the end. So Dogs win 24-14, 400 yards of total offense. Rattler, I think, was held to like 9 of 20 in the second half for like barely any yards, and I think he turned the ball over twice, something like that. Just defense just completely came out and annihilated them. Looked like they were communicating better, and the intensity, like the defense was almost like playing on their heels a little bit to see what the pace of the game was going to be, how they were going to respond. Like when they got tempo, I noticed that like they were kind of sitting back a little bit and just kind of letting everything play out in front of them instead of just going in full attack mode like they usually do. And when they finally said, "All right, F it, we're gonna come after you," that's when things changed too, defensively.
Absolutely. And, one thing that I saw, Brooke Austin, shout out to him, he was doing his film breakdown. I was watching the other day, and it was second half. South Carolina was maybe on the 40-yard line. They were going to do a thing that we call, Sooner Fox or whatever. It's just stalk and go, to the running back. You know what I mean? But you can see, Schumann pointing for the corner to get back because he saw it coming. Something that didn't happen in the first half. You know what I mean? So you can see like the adjustments were made at halftime. The leak footage of what Kirby said at halftime is probably going to come out within the next week or two. But you can definitely tell that it lit a fire under those guys. And like I said, they get the ball in the second half. They go down and score like it's nothing. I think it was 4 or 5 plays, and we're in the end zone. You know what I mean? They go 3 and out. We get the ball back, go right back down and score. I mean, we scored 21 on extra points, like in 3 possessions.
It's just nerves, man. I think offensively it's just nerves. Defensively, I think they're just feeling each other out because there's some new guys in there because of injury.
Yeah. And it's the test that anybody's ever thrown against us either. No. You know what I mean? So that secondary really got tested this game, and they passed the test in the second half. But that first half, I was like, am I watching the Ohio State game all over again?
Yeah, it left a lot to be desired. But my one concern, and this has been my concern the whole time, was the fact that we sorely miss Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. We miss them badly. I mean, I just don't think we have a guy right now that is stepping up and going to be that alpha guy in the middle on the line.
And that's what we miss. We're just missing that. We got a lot of really good players in front. But you're missing that one dominant guy. Think what's it? I'll keep drawing a blank. What that name is? The big defensive lineman that's been there for a while. Is it Shackelford?
Stackhouse.
Stackhouse. Why can't I remember? Anyway, I think Stackhouse is going to be the guy to finally. Stackhouse. Yeah. That's it. I'm thinking Shackelford. I was like, no, I'm thinking the wrong person. But I think Stackhouse is going to be the guy. I think he had a breakout game for me. He was taking on blocks. He made a couple of plays. I think he had a sack or 2 in the second half. But we just got a bunch of really good players up front. But at some point, we're going to need those good players to become elite players. Yeah. And roll some guys off the bench, But like I said, first SEC game, I think against UAB this week is one of those deals to where you're bringing a really good team with Trent Difford to where, all right, guys, if they come in here, they can beat us. So we better have it together.
Yeah, you better not get off to a slow start against them. They're good enough to. They're not Ball State. They're good enough to give you some trouble.
They're good enough to beat you if you don't play like you're supposed to.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, like you said, UAB is up next, and we're going to do a little bit of a preview for them later in the week. But let's talk about some of the other games. Like what really surprised me, and maybe I was just downplaying Florida's run game a little bit, but my God, And I know the score wasn't as lopsided at the end as it was for most of the game, but they dominated Tennessee.
Oh, yeah. A little ETN looked like his brother.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But the one thing that I got upset about is that Billy Napier got conservative in the second half, and he almost let Tennessee come back. You know, you go back to Urban Meyer, Steve Spurrier days. I mean, they would have tried to hang 100 on him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So that is the only knock that I have, is that he didn't try to put him away when he had the chance. But you know, Tennessee was riding that high horse. You know, and they got exposed a little bit. You know, is Joe Milton really the guy, or did he just have a bad game? I think he just had a bad game, honestly.
Yeah, I do too. I think he's not Hendon Hooker. We can go ahead and safely say that, but I also don't think he's bad either.
Yes, but this is the first game that I've seen Tennessee be undisciplined.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even when it came to Sanford last year, they were still a very disciplined team. This was the first time that I've seen Tennessee play undisciplined football. And it ended up biting in the butt. You know, they got a defensive line suspended for the first half this week for the hit on the quarterback, and that's just one thing you had. That was the old Tennessee, you know. And it kind of reared its ugly head Saturday, and you kind of saw it, you know. So I think we just get back to play disciplined football. I think they'll be fine. But you know, shout out to Florida for the first time I think I've ever said that. You know, because I've been a big Billy Napier guy. You know, I know him. He's a good coach. He used to come recruit. You know the family and things like that. So, you know, I'm a fan of him. You know, even though this is Georgia's show, I'd like Billy Napier for other things.
All right, we're canceled.
We're
canceled.
You know, but you see what they did to Tennessee. You know, gets ready to play them, and you know, gets us ready. You know, for when we play Tennessee. You know, if you can get them to get frustrated, I think you got a really good chance to win. That's what happened. Everybody's frustrated. I think this is the first time I've seen Josh Heupel get mad. It was during the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think for Billy Napier, that is the game that he needed to win badly, because he was spiraling, and a lot of it's not his fault.
No,
because of the roster that he inherited was complete garbagios. Although Graham Mertz is on him, and I still don't think Graham Mertz is all that good, and I still not sure that Graham Mertz is going to finish the season as QB1. However, they played with a level of toughness, they played with a level of fight, and they played as disciplined as I've ever seen, as I've ever seen them in the last 10 years or so.
Yeah,
I couldn't get that phrase out. That was tough. Those words are tough. That was I got teacher brain going right now, but
trust me, I know. I can't believe I couldn't remember Stackhouse's name. I've been talking about the young man since spring.
You have the names can escape you pretty good, but commonly used phrases like that, you know, when the words become tough, that's when you know, like, God,
let's say DJ Youngler.
I don't think I'll. He might be in the dang up Heisman race. Oregon State's undefeated.
Dude, he is out here balling right now, and Clemson is in for a rude awakening this weekend.
When they realize that A, it's not DJ Ungulale, and B, Florida State is about to work them.
Yes, and speaking of Florida State, shout out to my man Thomas Castellanos. He is a Ware County Gator. You know, Florida State kind of, you know, wanted to be an athlete. We all know what athlete means in our terminology. But he wanted to play quarterback. So he absolutely showed up. He was one penalty away from beating Florida State at home.
Ooh, okay.
And he is a Ware County alum. He's a really good football player.
Shout out to Mr. Castellano. Castellanos. Castellanos. There you go.
There we go.
I'm gonna butcher that one for all of time. Sorry. Yes. Don't everybody come from Waycross with your pitchforks and torches just yet.
You're about to get canceled.
We've already gotten canceled. You said you like Billy Napier. I'm mispronouncing Ware County names. We're screwed.
They got us.
We're in the we're in the crosshairs. So,
Mm.
but yeah, no, that game was real interesting. Good for Billy Napier. I think he's a really good coach in a really bad situation.
Yeah.
And for the life of me, I was like, I don't know that he can coach his way out of this. I'm not sure he can. And he's well on his way to doing so now. He's just got to keep up that momentum.
Absolutely. And where did Jordan Daniels come from? Who is this guy? Absolutely balled out Saturday.
Yeah.
So that means did he really get that good, or is Mississippi State that bad? I think he flipped the switch and was like, "Hey man, I got to start playing better."
They came out. They were like, "Okay, we are going to erase this fraud tag that we have, and we're going to just come out and lay it on." Because Mississippi State is not bad. I mean, they're not great by any stretch. Coaching change, scheme change. A lot of things that are tough, especially on the offensive side of the ball when they go from air raid to power spread. It's never an easy transition, but Mississippi State has not been playing terrible football this year. And LSU stunk up the joint against FSU, flat out quit, I think, in my opinion. They just flat out laid down to call a spade a spade. But they came out and, they came out in a big way against Mississippi State in a game that could have easily been easily been an upset.
Yes,
at the time slot. And the opponent could have easily been
a little bit closer to what it was. And I turned it on. I was like, they are beating the what out of Mississippi State. Good Lord. I saw the stats. I mean, I think he completed maybe 4 passes the whole entire game. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was on it. Neighbors had a great game. I mean, running games work. I was like, who is this LSU team? This is definitely not a team that has been playing as of late.
It's definitely not the team that stunk up the joint against Florida State. That's for sure. Yeah. So that game surprised me. I was surprised.
Me too.
That game was weird, man. They had a weather delay and they had some weird stuff happen. I wouldn't put much stock into that. However, I've never seen an Alabama team look that pedestrian.
No. We were just talking about that today. We've been talking about doing little things with us, making sure you look out for your team and things like that. Milroe, being a great teammate. He had to sit the bench this game, and he was the first one out there. Reminds me of Jalen Hurts, when his deal kind of went through, just a great teammate. But the one thing that I have noticed, one thing we would preach to our guys is, there's a history that needs to be, upheld. And I think everybody's all mad at, Alabama players of, calling out other players. But you got to understand there's a standard and expectation of Alabama. And those first couple of games, they hadn't been doing it. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those deals to where they'll bounce back, things like that. So it was a very interesting weekend to see them, not look very Alabama.
No, that was the least Alabama they've ever looked. Since Saban took over, at least. The Mike Shula days, that's a different story. But Colorado State, more impressed with Colorado State or like surprised that Colorado took it to overtime with them?
I tell you what, I have never in my life thought that I would stay up and watch a Colorado State football game. Never in my life would I think I'd be saying those words. But it was definitely worth staying up for. I'm behind that because I'm a big Deion fan, obviously. Mm-hmm. But that is the first time that I've seen Colorado State be competitive. It's the first time I've seen, other than, last couple of games, obviously, that, Colorado was competitive. When was the last time you put those two words in a sentence? So any football in Colorado being competitive. But I think it's great. I saw, all the, dismay for, the hit on Travis Hunter. But football, it happens. You know what I mean? Yeah. You go back to, 2008, when Major Wright completely destroyed that receiver on the sideline the very first play of Oklahoma Florida Championship. You know what I mean? Those things like that happen. But it was a really, really good game to watch, and you start to see the maturity of Shedeur as he marked them down the field, and the game for him pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, it happens. And going back to the hit, Like the kid's receiving death threats, man. Like, what the hell?
Yeah,
I mean, what was it a little dirty? Yeah, probably. Was it? Was there a lot of jawing going back and forth? Yeah, but for sure.
Make sure you're a poke guy in the eye.
Yeah, I mean, he made a dirty hit. They flagged him. He got penalized. Let's move on, right?
Yeah.
I think the appropriate call was made. He didn't get ejected. It was unnecessary roughness, but it wasn't targeting.
It was not
They didn't call targeting. I think they properly handled that situation. Nothing got out of hand from there, and then they just played, man. And it was probably one of the most physical football games I saw all weekend.
I think it's because of all these rule changes, people have gotten soft to what football actually is. Football is the most violent sport outside of obviously UFC and stuff that you can be part of, because you're hitting somebody every single play. You're touching somebody and hitting somebody. The goal is to get them to the ground as fast as possible and as hard as possible. It's football. I think people have lost sight of that because we're out here playing flag football all the time. And there's a flag every time you even sneeze on anybody.
Yeah.
So back in our days of playing, if you'd have got hit like that, you'd have back up and there wouldn't have been a flag thrown.
No, there wouldn't have been a flag. You probably would have jawed back and forth a little bit and said, "Okay, here we go. I'm coming for you the next time," and you just go get them back.
In that national championship game, there was no flag though. You know what I mean? That was 2008. 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm. That was just a good play back then.
That was just a great play. And now, I mean, you're sending death threats to a kid. What I mean?
That's a bit much. That's a bit much.
Travis Hunter come out and say, it's football. D came out and said the same thing. You know what I mean? But guys, we got to quit being so soft. If you're gonna be soft, don't watch football. Don't let anybody in your family play football. I mean, it goes back to Georgia fans too. If you're gonna be soft and not understand what actually takes to win a football game, then you probably shouldn't watch it because you're gonna be upset. Bad things are gonna happen. I tell people all the time, that's why you do what you do and I do what I do. Mm-hmm. Most people can't handle things like that. And you can see it on Twitter. Like if these people were coaches, you could not handle it.
No, well, they'd be changing quarterbacks every other play. I mean, it's just something,
I say all the time, I'm gonna start going to people's jobs and say you need to be fired just because.
Fire Israel. Well, he said he likes Billy Napier, so we definitely got to fire him. Yeah, I know. Sorry, it's just business. Just business.
Business, man, is business.
So, but we're gonna jump out of here now. We're gonna save the rest. We're gonna save some previews and our picks here coming up on a different episode. We wanted to go a little different, a little live stream here, a little live stream action. And we'll do that every once in a while. I think it's fun to go live and see if we get any viewers and any live viewers and questions and things like that. But if you want to follow us, right here down below, you can find us in any one of these spots. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Find us on any podcast platform, and of course, X and Instagram and Facebook and all those sites. And so. But yeah, this is just
a bird down there because it's just a black X now.
Yeah, I know. They got to change that logo. This is a dated set, I guess. It's a good looking set, but it's a dated set. I think people know.
Before we get out of here, everybody's seen it. We just want to wish a speedy recovery for Nick Chubb. One of our favorite dogs. He's gonna bounce back. I think everybody remembers what happened at Tennessee. He came back even stronger than ever, so he's gonna come back even stronger than ever with his too. And we got into it today and some of my players. I was like, that's just football. You know what I mean? It's one of the same situation. With Colorado State game. It's just a guy. He's making a play. You know what I mean? And you wish no ill will or injury to anybody. You know what I mean? But that's just football. You know what I mean? But
it just happened. It's a bang, bang play. And with somebody like Nick Chubb, you have to hit him down there.
Yeah. You're trying to hit him in the thigh, but he just didn't go down, when the guy was tackling on the other side, So it's just one of those deals to where, you hate that it happened. He's going to bounce back and he's going to be running that rocket doing 695-pound squats in no time.
on one leg, on that leg. I've never seen a bar bend like that.
Dude, he does it every year, man. He gets to go on there.
Oh God, man! I'm like, every year I'm like, that bar's gonna snap. I mean, it is literally like this.
Oh yeah. So you know what he does? I listen to the Pivot podcast with Ryan Clark and those guys, and it's one of those I forget but it's one of those new bars that kind of bend and adjust to the weight that you put on. So it's not, us old school guys, we just have the straight bar, but new technology and stuff these days, trying to keep everybody safe, but I mean, he's bouncing that thing doing 5 reps at a time. If I put that on my back, we're going to be doing this from the hospital because I'm out.
I'm getting crumpled.
I still work out, but I have no desire to put 600 pounds on my back at any time. Never again.
No, I don't think my knees can handle that. My 40-year-old knees, I don't think they can handle that. I'm 40 years old. Can you believe that?
I don't even go past 225. When I'm working out, I'm like, my kids are always like, Coach, can you do more now? Like, yes, I can, but why? I'm not playing anymore.
Yeah, but
I did. That's what I do enough to where you beat me.
Yeah. Which the last 6 years, that's not been a whole lot. Like I did a 225-pound power clean, and I might as well have been doing a 500-pound power clean. Like that's how in all they were.
The next day you're like, oh my God, why'd I do that?
Yeah. I'm like, oh, screw the next day. Like 2 hours later, I'm at home. I'm eating. I got the fork like this. I'm like,
hey, that is funny.
I did the combine bench press. I don't know what I don't know what you guys call it. Like when you do that bench test or whatever. We used to call it bench pro. We used to call it bench pro, I guess, because pro day. But I threw on. It was like right after the combine, we're doing winter workouts, and one of my kids, who's a complete smart ass, he was like, "Coach, I bet you can't hit 225." I look at him, I'm puzzled. I'm like,
"All right, bet."
Okay. It was like 4 years ago. I hit like 315. So, okay.
So now you're out here competing against kids, man. They get you every time.
I know. And so I get under it. I'm like, okay. I'm thinking in my head, okay.
Lord, you're like,
Lord help me.
Please don't let me mess this up.
Lord, you just give me 3 reps. Give me 3 reps. Lord gave me 10.
There you go.
I busted out 10, and they were like,
oh my God.
They had that look on their face like, oh my God, Coach. Oh, they were going crazy.
And in your mind, you're like, why did I do that? Why?
And then later I'm like, I had the adrenaline going at that moment. So I was like, I was cool. But later on, I was like, I should not have done that. Should not have done that.
You got to take a sick day the next day because you can't get out of bed and or wipe your butt because you can't reach around.
Yeah, I'm like my traps are like up here. I'm like, oh, so tense,
Scared to sneeze.
Yeah. Oh, you sneeze, it's over. Like all the way down, all the way through your chest. It's like somebody did this. Zip. It's like somebody pulled a zip tie. You can like hear it. You can hear it snap, crackle, and pop.
Oh, that's funny. But they get you, man. And it's always the one kid that's not very good.
No, this kid's playing at Missouri Southern right now, so this kid's pretty good.
No, ours are the ones that aren't very good.
Yeah.
When they try to talk trash, you're just like, bruh.
Yeah.
You forget who I am sometimes.
Yeah. Those type kids, I just like use them for blocking demonstrations.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have a kid at Innsworth who's actually really good outside linebacker. And we're doing this down blocking drill, and he's like, damn, Coach, you still got it.
Yep. Just in case you want to run up on this one day, just remember, I still got it.
Because there was like I forget the exact technique I was saying, but like it was like getting his shoulders tilted, and I was like, all right, push against me. I was like, all right, now if you're in this posture, you're not going to have much strength. I said, push against me, and you like bowled me over almost. And then I was like, okay, if you want this technique, and it's like you have hand in the chest, and then the other hand on the up underneath the wingtip, and like you forklift him, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I had his shoulders turned like this. I said, "All right, now push against me. Come on, push against me." And he's like fighting as hard as he can, and I'm just controlling him with one arm.
Yep, I still got it.
Yeah, fullback, man. That's what I do.
Gotta love it.
That's how I roll.
The lost art, fullback.
Mm-hmm. If only I was like not 5'8", but like 6 foot, I probably we would have been teammates for a year, probably.
Oh yeah, we used to use the fullback then.
Yeah, we would have been teammates for like a very brief amount of time.
Yeah, we don't even use fullback. I don't even know what those look like anymore.
No. Mm-mm. But no, I played more like at Fayette County High School. I was more of an H-back than a true fullback.
Yeah.
I did a little bit of everything.
We were spread. We never used the back.
Yeah.
We were 4 wide, baby. Let it ride.
We were 11 personnel. Sometimes 4 wide, but 11 personnel. Or 20 personnel, or however you describe that.
Yeah, depends on if he's a sniffer or he's attached.
I was mostly a sniffer.
Yeah.
I was mostly a sniffer, a wing. I was a wing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I would go in like short motion and kick out on power or pull on counter, you know.
I like those guys.
That was me.
Those guys make you a lot of money. That's the San Francisco 49ers.
Kyle Juszczyk.
Mm-hmm.
That's my guy right there. I like me some juice. Kyle Juszczyk. So he's a good player. But anyway, we're gonna get out of here, man, because we're well into overtime here. We're trying not to get canceled, but I don't know if that's gonna happen now. We're gonna definitely get canceled. So so long forever. No, just kidding. But we are the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast on the Believe Network. Check us out down below. Find us anywhere you find your podcast. We would love to hear from you. Subscribe, like, all that good stuff. For Israel Troop, I'm Corey Burton. Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast on the Believe Network. UAB up next. We got picks coming up later this week, and we'll see you back here next time. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.